You know what? I blame all of you in the chat for this. All of you weasels in there who are complaining about the music all the time. You guys are secret servants of YouTube, I tell ya, and they have demonetized the OGC for copyright infringement of music on all the streams. So if you guys want to donate to us, you got to send us money over on Entropy now. But you guys got your wish now, so there's no more intro historical American marching music. You should all be ashamed of yourselves, I tell ya. But we're back here for another exciting episode of Pony Express Radio. Hopefully, everyone in the chat was around on Monday and Wednesday to listen to our two new shows that we're having every single week, those being American Spirits with Charlemagne and Turnipseed, and Chapter House, hosted by Mr. Not Me, Not You. So if you guys didn't catch those earlier this week, definitely go check those out. Those were some excellent shows indeed. But we must carry on here. First, I got Pete. He's back with us again today. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah, I just finished listening to your episode with Daryl Cooper just before this, and it was excellent. Everyone should go and listen after this one. So well done as always. And of course, we got our simian friend, as we're going to talk about strategic chimping today. We just had to have him on. Raging Mandrill is back. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm absolutely ready to chimp. I have no tail and I must chimp. So there we go. Let me just say real quick before we get started how absolutely retarded the copyright law and regulation bullshit is. I can't believe that, marching music that's at least 100 years old can possibly get a copyright strike on it. I mean, I don't understand what legal precept you could possibly use for something that's been, unless you're copyrighting a very specific recording of it, which is even more fake and legalistic and gay and all of that nonsense. Like, it's just, it's basically classical music at this point. It's old enough.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this as somebody who used to have a monetized channel twice, and they remonetized me and then demonetized me. It's probably not that. It's probably them just doing it and finding an excuse to do it. Because when they demonetized me for good, it was they just pulled an episode that I had put up there like 5 years ago. Oh, this is why we're demonetizing you. So
truly maddening times living under these tech overlord types. But we must push on anyway. But first, before we talk about the slew of stories for this week, we must get out of the way all of our good friends and sponsors over here at Pony Express Radio and the OGC. So, of course, at the start, as we talk about every week, get shredded with Axios Remote Fitness and Coaching. You got to get shredded for White Boy Summer. All of you boys out there better run for cover, because this is a white boy summer. All right. So definitely head on over to Axios, get yourself shredded. I hope everyone was looking pretty jacked for 4th of July over the weekend. I hope everyone was enjoying their cold beers and explosive fireworks and American flags and suntans and all that fun stuff. So I saw a couple of our guys were out at a bunch of parades and everything. I know in my town when I was growing up, they had a turkey shoot every year. So people go up and shoot like sporting clays and stuff, and the person who had the best score would get a turkey for their family, which was pretty cool. So hope everyone had a splendid 4th of July and Independence Day. Also, everyone head on over to Fox and Sons Coffee to get your caffeine fix. As everyone knows, I'm not a caffeine drinker myself, but it does come with a wholehearted endorsement of many OGC coffee drinkers. So head on over to Fox and Sons. And then, of course, get your nicotine fix with Alp nicotine pouches. I myself have restocked on my stores for Alp. So definitely get your hands on some of those. And we here at OGC, of course, are friends of Big Tobacco. We are not ashamed to say so. So why don't we get into the stories for tonight? This first one, speaking of strategic chimping, we have a couple strategic chimping stories to talk about this evening. The first one we're going to jump into is the discussion of the flip-flopping back and forth with amnesty. This is a word that many people in the Trump administration have been using back and forth. I mean, let me get to the start of this. First of all, I'm just sick and tired of these female cabinet positions. It's been a really bad couple weeks for female politicians, especially on the Republican side of things. There was just an announcement today that Ken Paxton's wife, who is a senator down in Texas at the state level, is now like divorcing him after like 38 years of marriage or something. I'm just so sick of this nonsense. But Brooke Rollins here the agricultural secretary. We've seen her face a couple of times talking about, do Americans really want to deport all the hardworking Mexicans that are working in our farms across the entire country? And some Americans don't want that. We should amnesty our hardworking people. Obviously not. No, this would be a huge tarnish on Trump's legacy if he was to give amnesty to any of these people. We point this out on the show constantly, back and forth, that no matter how many times the mainstream media or anyone tries to forge these numbers on these polls, no matter how they ask these questions, it always comes back consistent that 60 to 70% of all Americans want all people who are here legally to be mass deported, every single one. Let's listen into what Brooke Rollins has to say here.
I think I answered the second question, where we are on farm labor, a little bit earlier. But what I will say is that Lori Chavez de Rimmer is our Secretary of Labor. And the H-2A visa program, all of the programs that inure to moving in seasonal ag workers are under Secretary Chavez de Rimmer. She has been working around the clock with her team. I think we'll probably hear a little bit more about this today, and the conversations will continue. But I can't underscore enough, there will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
One more.
Well, this also comes in combination of today, where we actually did see a large raid on a cannabis farm in California today. Yes, here we go. The chimp out must continue until morale improves. Yes. So, I mean, there's been flip-flopping back and forth pretty much for the last month on this topic, ever since those great big riots kicked off in LA about a month ago. Thoughts, gentlemen, on the inconsistency here?
Well, I'm glad she said mass deportations. This is very nice to hear a mainstream politician use terminology that originated on Twitter, basically, as far as I'm aware.
Well, from everything I've seen so far, so USAID is going to be defunded and destroyed. Well, it hasn't been. It's been turned over to the State Department. We're not getting into any wars in the Middle East. Well, we bombed Iran. And it was, I'm not saying it was, it'll lead to something huge in the future, but it always seems like there's a trade-off of some sort. Like, oh, you're going to get these deportations, but these over here, no, they're going to stay here. I mean, I find it impossible at this point to believe that anything in American politics, you're going to get anything perfect. You're going to get what you want. No, you're going to kind of get what you want with Trump. You would not get anything you want with Kamala Harris. But also there's going to be, people who rely on illegal labor and things like that, who are going to get what they want as well. And I mean, that's just the way the game is played. And I don't know that it is possible to change it. And I think that, relying upon thinking that it's going to be changed at the federal level is, just wish casting at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I hate coming on here and just saying, oh, we're just going to have to wait and see, right? I'll say this much. I mean, we're like 1/8 finished with the Trump administration the second time around, right? And I just find it unacceptable on this topic of the mass deportations, which is the major reason, and quite frankly, the most important reason that Donald Trump was elected, that the thing that we have to show for it is, well, ICE now has the biggest budget of any law enforcement agency in the United States at this point, and some of it is bigger than most militaries of most countries, and that's all that we really have to show for it, plus what they claim to be 1 million people who have departed the country, 1/10 of those via mass deportations, and 9 out of 10 of them were self-deportations. I will give the Trump administration credit for one thing, is that at least the funnel of illegals at the southern border has just completely stopped at this point. There's just literally nobody crossing, which is cool. I mean, so stopping the bleeding a little bit. We still have issues with the H-1B discussion that we still need to chip about until the end times, basically. But this can't be the only thing that we can hang our hat up with. It's like, okay, great. ICE has an amazing budget. That's pretty much the only thing that's good that came out of this one big, beautiful bill. That and getting rid of based Mike Lee's, plan to sell off a bunch of our federal land. But all the other stuff that was in the bill that we wanted got axed from it. All the firearm stuff that we would have wanted got axed from it. All the remittance taxes, most of it got axed. All the stuff about Trump just sidestepping all these 10th Circuit Court of Appeals judges, that got axed as well. So it's hard for me to come out and say that, oh, this bill was some great win for us. I mean, we'll have to see what ICE does with this giant ass budget now. I mean, but there's literally like no excuses at this point. You made your deals. You've got more money than God at this point to carry out these mass deportations. And we have some people in the administration saying, oh, well, maybe we're going to do amnesty for farmers, and then we're going to do big raids today on farms throughout the country. It's just, I just want some consistency here. And I just want, more. It can never be enough. You can never deport enough people.
Speaking of consistency, I have an idea that I would like to float. And this is a bit of a moral case here, right? So for those who might be aware, the percentage of remittance tax, I think it was originally supposed to be 3.5%, and that got knocked down to like 1% or something.
Yep, that's correct.
It's extremely token number, like doesn't matter. Like even the 3.5% number is retarded because, like think about what's being done here, right? They don't pay, as far as I'm aware, they don't pay any form of income tax because a lot of them get paid under the table. And the problem is, okay, so now you're saying that this illegal immigrant population gets taxed at a lower rate than people who are obvious citizens. So that's number one. And if you wanted to make a moral claim of, at least of bare minimum standards here, you would have to say, well, the illegal aliens should be taxed at least as high as citizens. And you can make that a progressive tax rate if you want. But that's the entire point, is you got to make the taxation through a remittance tax much higher. And I think we should do more over the next year to see if we can get the administration to change that. Because they're going to have another budget fight in 1 year's time. So it's not over at all.
Yeah. When you understand how large our government is, when you understand how difficult it is for a large agency to coordinate and do things on the kind of scale that it needs to be done, you realize that you can have, a military size, a budget for deportations that's the size of most, most European countries' military, even more so. But if you're not funneling that down into local areas, and you're not having help at the local, if this has to be organized from the local level. If you're talking about rounding people up, easiest way to do it is what Mandrill said, taxing remittances, taxing them high, and also just making it, telling these businesses that are hiring illegals, we're going to take your company away from you if you do it. Do it once. We catch you doing it once, we're nationalizing it. This is going to be a national company now. It's going to be owned by the U.S. government. If you're if you're resting all your hopes upon ICE and DHS to do this, and they're not, and that money is not being funneled down to the most local areas, especially, there are areas that want it. Of course, there are areas that are going to fight you. Of course, there are areas that are, quote unquote, sanctuary cities. But I would assume that all but maybe 3 cities in Alabama, even small towns, would be like, yeah, sure, we'll help you. We'll do it for you. We'll round them all up. All you got to do is send the buses. Just give us the money to do it. If you're not doing it like that, then you're fighting this you think you're fighting this large war where you have to have these small battles that, basically you win these small battles on all of these local levels and county levels and even statewide levels. It's just top down. When does top down ever work? It doesn't. So if you're not taxing remittances by 30 to 50%, if you're not, basically threatening business owners with, we are just going to take your business away from you, or we'll pull your license, your LLC, your liability. It's, I mean, this has to be done on many levels at once. And if people are just waiting for it to be done top down, it's not going to happen. Mark, I will make that. I'm not one who likes to make predictions. I will make that prediction. If it's all top down, this isn't going to work.
Well, why don't we show a couple images from the last couple of days after the announcement of all these new increasing in ICE funding. So a bunch of pictures. This is actually taken in LA. This is in MacArthur Park, where ICE raids were being conducted over the last couple of days. I was mentioning the one right at the start of the show where they did today, where they raided a cannabis farm, and they actually, like, tear gas was deployed and stuff to corral people in and out of the fields. So, I mean, they're certainly showing a great big show of force here in LA. And then, of course, if anyone's been on Twitter, one of the big stories has been popping off the last couple of days has been the traffic maps all throughout LA, and just how traffic in the middle of rush hour is just non-existent right now because people are just not getting in their cars. They're kind of just sheltering in place. It really just is amazing when we talk about this on the show all the time, all the second order effects that happen when you actually start deporting all these people. We've talked about things like, obviously, the housing market. We've talked about things like used car markets. We've talked about all these other second order effects that happen. Another big one is just the fact that you can actually drive around in a major city because you don't have a major influx of people driving on the road who aren't supposed to be there, that the infrastructure can't support. Now, I mean, all these arguments at this point from all of these Cato people, all of these like normicon Republicans, everyone on the left, everyone's saying that, like, oh, immigration is just such this great thing for us because of the GDP and my cheap goods and stuff. It's just all bullshit at this point, man. And nobody could possibly stand on this with a straight face at this point. We know you are liars.
So a couple things, if I can jump in here. I'd be very interested to hear what the actual strategy of Miller is under the Trump admin. I would be very interested to hear what the general broad strategy of the Trump admin is for this deportation plan. I'm very glad to see the enforcement in, blue territory in these sanctuary cities, of course. I'm very happy to see that because you need to do that at some point. But I wonder if there would have been a slightly better plan, which would have been to basically do what Pete said and expand outwards. But that's just a minor critique of mine. The second thing is, let's talk resources on this, right? If nobody is going to work, if everybody is staying at home, how are they getting money? That's a huge question. Like, everybody has to make rent, and all of these people have, I'm sure, relatively limited savings, like everybody. If they're working, the jobs that Americans don't want to do down at the supermarket, or folding your burrito at the lunch truck or whatever. So really, how long can these people hold out when they have enforcement in their face like this? And how long can the U.S. government sustain these efforts? This is the strategic problem that you're facing right now. This is the logistical problem. Already, we have seen various volunteer organizations attempt to get groceries and such to illegal migrants and that sort of thing, just to give them some kind of relief. So you have the Trump side of things in motion. You have the opposite reaction and attempt to preserve what is the status quo in these blue cities. So it's just a question of who runs out of money and resources first, and who's going to go after the resources and make sure that, these people literally just have no way of staying here. Like, how are you? What's the plan, or what's your timeline here to ensure that Jose is not going to, who is an illegal and has been here for 20 years, can't make rent? Like that's what self-deportations actually looks like in practice.
Yeah, excellent points. I mean, addressing the discussion of resources as well. Let's look at this from the other side of the coin. Just simple resources for ICE, and a lot of this is also just going to come down to manpower. I mean, I've seen a lot of ads these days across Twitter, across various group chats and everything that ICE is hiring and playing these places. So I don't know. I mean, if anybody in the chat, maybe you want to do some good, or maybe you want a career change or something. I don't know. Maybe take a look into it. I don't know your situation, but could be interesting at the very least.
If you need a job, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of our friends who need jobs actually. So maybe this is an opportunity.
Could be. Who knows? I have a lot. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, the other thing that comes attached to this as well is that I saw our good friend Oran was posting about this earlier today. Was that there's a lot of active threats going on these ICE guys now to trying to get doxxed, and he's calling for this should just be a federal crime, which it obviously should be at this point. So that's something that easily could be done at the federal level. I mean, if you're going to try and spur up this great giant mass deportation operation, you're going to need men on the ground to actually do it. And quite frankly, these guys should get a serious piece of the pie. I mean, I understand a lot of, wheels need to be greased in Washington to get literally anything done. But quite frankly, all these ICE guys should be millionaires as far as I'm concerned for being true patriots for their country, getting all these people out of here. So these guys absolutely deserve the full protection of the law at their backs to ensure their safety and their family's safety. And we're going to get more to that in a second with an ICE story. But anything further, gents?
Yeah. Speaking of the ICE officer safety, I forget whose name it was, but there was some Democratic politician, I think it was this morning, who was calling for ICE to no longer be able to wear, balaclavas or neck gaiters or whatever, basically things to cover their face. So that what do they want? They want people to be forced to show face, right, in a law enforcement capacity. And the great problem with this, and of course we're seeing like a militarized bulletproof vehicle on screen. I don't know exactly what's on top there. It looks like a dude with a cruiser weapon or something, but I don't know. The militarization of the police is a huge issue, and this is the great problem. Is the meme about policing is absolutely true. When you have 1950s demographics, you can have a 1950s police force, and you can have the nice policeman from Leave It to Beaver or something. Whereas in modern conditions, your police force is, especially your federal police force, has to look exactly like this. The police is a pseudo-military organization. That's precisely what its role is. It is there to perform the duties of the state and to use the monopoly of force when enforcing the actual law. So, yeah, that's just the bottom line of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people are bringing this up in the chat, but I like this idea too. Is why don't you just seize all the illegal immigrant stuff once you deport them as well to help pay for your costs and everything? It's just yeah. So we've seized all of your assets. It technically wouldn't be a civil asset forfeiture at that point, right? Because like you're not even a citizen of the United States, but who cares at that point? I mean, you're just an illegal. We're taking your car. We're taking your home that you've ended up in illegally somehow. This is all now under the control of the Department of Homeland Security. At this point, it's over for you.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing too is how exactly are you dealing with the assets of these people? Like there's going to be a constitutional argument, and you're going to have to be able to find the argumentation to pass muster when it inevitably comes in front of the Supreme Court to say, well, hold on a second, these people are illegal aliens, and you have to have some kind of legal mechanism to say, well, sorry, the rights of American citizens don't apply to you, and everything that has been given to you up till now has been a very, very generous privilege. And you're going to have to find the way to get that to pass muster.
Yeah. So many things are being discussed here. Many things. the TLDR about all this is that we want more. It'll never be enough. Just keep on pushing on this stuff. There are over 100 million people in this country who should not be here, and all of them need to go. Every last one of them. There's zero room for backpedaling on this issue. It's the issue. Nothing else matters.
Well, you also have to understand that, you're looking at these guys all tacked out and everything. You really only need that in big cities. If you use my plan where you go down to, break it down to localities, you don't even need all of this. Most sheriffs know where they live. It's that simple. I guess it's nice, to have a drop leg holster and, friggin' bring a Styro AUG, into friggin', LA or something like that. But around here, you wouldn't even need that. Actually, pretty much everyone knows them.
I don't know. I think everyone needs a Styro AUG. It's like
well, yeah. But only an A3 because I don't want to have to buy proprietary magazines. So
yeah, it's true. It's always been my dream gun. I want one so bad. Oh well.
I'm gonna start looking for one because I already have one. I already have one diehard gun. I have an Asian KP7. Now I need a Styro AUG.
I know. It just looks so cool in that movie. All right. So, you know what? Actually, why don't we stay on this same topic right now? We can get to the other chimping story later, but related to the ICE discussion and everything, this was a very, very important story that kind of flew under the radar this week, not to mention because it was 4th of July. People had other things going on, but this assault and ambush that took place down in Texas at ICE detention center, holy crap. So here we are, Prairie Land Detention Center ambush in Alvarado, Texas. Not exactly sure where this is in relation to a bunch of other Texas cities. Mandrill, maybe you can enlighten us a little bit more. But so basically we had 10 to 12 Antifa individuals dressed in black began shooting fireworks towards the Prairie Land Detention Center in an attempt to lure officers outside of the building. 2 unarmed correctional officers approached the vandals. The police arrive, and then 2 shooters fire 20 to 30 rounds from a distance of 100 to 150 meters, and they flee west on foot. 2 men were, the 2 guys were injured. One of them shot in the neck. They're both alive currently, though, thank God. But they lived to set up an ambush for these guys outside the detention facility, opened fire on them, and then fled the scene. Most of them have been apprehended at this point. We'll get to the one guy who's still on the loose, but we've been talking about this literally since the day that Trump got elected back in November, that leftist violence is going to increase. We've been tracking on the show. Many other people in our scene have been tracking it as well, but Days of Rage is back on the menu, boys, and it's only going to get worse from here.
Well, let me add some things here. First of all, the fact that they would actually have 10 who would be able to organize and do this is interesting, because usually it's not. It's 1 or 2 having a distraction in order to do this. It's all very interesting. You can say what you want about the way these people look or everything, and Mike Shelby from Forward Observer makes this point out all the time. While you're sitting on your fucking ass on your couch, not doing anything, these fuckers are out here going up against federal agents. So you can say whatever the fuck you want about them, but they seem to mean a whole hell of a lot more. They seem to believe a whole hell of a lot more in what they're doing than what you're doing. Okay.
I hate this kind of like BoomerCon, like cat turn level discourse where they just laugh at these characters. It's like, look at this guy, these little pipsqueaks, shrimp arms or whatever. It's like, dude, you put a 5.56 in this guy's hands, he's just as deadly as anybody else, man. And we're gonna discuss this too when it relates to John Brown Gun Club in a moment here, but it's just very, very foolish to engage in that level of talk. I mean, yeah, these guys, they all look evil. A lot of them look like troons. A lot of them probably are troons, but it doesn't matter. You put a gun in his hand, he's deadly, period.
Yeah. And I don't think that they were like they were paid, like this was NGO funded, because they were all using shitty ARs. They didn't have Daniel defenses or or anything like that. I mean, the best anyone, I think Mike Shelby is doing the best work on this. The best anyone can tell is that this was done, through just organizing on their own. But here, let me throw this out there, and I don't know that I've heard anybody talk about this before. If this was organized by an NGO, if this was planned from the top down, maybe this is just testing the fence. All they did, they just sent them out there to see exactly what would happen, what the response would be, so that they know exactly what they need to do the next time. So I'll leave it there.
One thing I find interesting about this whole situation is, number one, the fact that most of these guys are caught, and they're probably all going to get caught. And I imagine they will serve very, very long prison sentences for attempted murder of police officers. But the interesting thing is the switch over to firearms-based tactics, which is kind of a new thing, right? This is like a squad level engagement. You have roughly a squad level number of people in military terms, and if all of these people who are clearly willing to die for a cause and who are armed properly, regardless if you have shitty things to say about their equipment. One of the interesting things I like to make note of is the differences and the similarities between now and the actual 1970s days of rage. And back then, these people would have been going inside the facility and placing a pipe bomb in the bathroom or something like that, right? That was a typical Weather Underground tactic. These guys are not Weather Underground types. These are true radicals, very violent. Right. It's interesting also the racial breakdown of this little cadre here, that appears to be mostly white, with some obvious diversity mixed in. And that's interesting to me for a couple of different reasons. But
very young too, for the most part.
Right. I don't think I would be interested to hear what all of these people's background is, and I imagine a lot of these people are probably, as you'd imagine, former university students. Some of them maybe down on their luck people, criminal element types. Yeah, exactly. So
Cap is pointing out in chat the literature that they was found.
Yeah, and it just shows you their tactics have been updated, their documents have been updated, and they're more than happy to use their updated tactics to what might be considered good effect. And the most dangerous terrorist is the terrorist who knows he's not going to survive his attack, because he knows that, well, I'm going to die anyway, so take as many people as I can with me. That's the most dangerous one. And these guys, I don't know, they seem to me just to be like not quite at that level of commitment, but still willing to use deadly force.
Yeah, let's pull up the picture of the 11th character who is currently still on the run. This is Benjamin Song, attempted murder of federal officer discharging a firearm during in relation to the furtherance of crime of violence. So this guy actually, what's notable about him is that he's actually been a known person for a while and has appeared at other protests, other public displays of force and what have you. And this guy is a John Brown Gun Club member. We've known about these guys for a while. These are the the truants that show up in all their guns and everything like this. But again, you can complain about these guys all you want and make fun of them for their wimpiness, I'd say, for lack of a better word, manlets, most of them and such. But hey, man, like an AR-15 is deadly when this guy's holding it too.
Did I hear? I think Shelby said this morning on the dispatch that this guy could have been is National Guard trained.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think I heard Shelby say. I think I heard Shelby say that this morning. So yeah, that would add another wrinkle to it. Yeah, it's one of the points he made was this morning, and I thought it was a really good point, is he said he predicted that this summer wasn't going to be like 2020. But because it isn't like 2020, and because they're not getting this mass, violence out there, that the violence we do see will probably be amped up, will probably be multiplied from what they would normally do.
Well, it's certainly more than the basic bitch stuff that we see of like everyday protests. People walking around with their wimpy trash can shields or what have you. I mean, again, like we didn't see this kind of behavior early on in 2017 during Trump's first term. Okay, we didn't really see stuff pop off like this really until the summer of Floyd. There's some minor upticks here and there, but already at the start of Trump's second term, we've already escalated beyond what the norm was during Trump's first term, and we still have 3.5 more years of this. So to expect that the dial is going to go down on this kind of stuff, I think is foolish at the very least.
Gulf City librarian, who he's a Shelby and Forward Observer listener, says that Mike said this morning that Song is actually Marine Corps Reserves.
Oh, there you go. Huh. Boy, it just shows you how far the rot is even in the military. That was very, very foreboding and ominous. That famous picture of the Commie guy in the U.S. Marine Corps. I believe that's what the celebration was. People might correct me on that one. But
if you're talking about the communist who wrote "Communism Will Win" in his cover, that was a guy who was attending the U.S. Naval Academy.
Oh, Naval Academy. That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Mandrill.
Yeah, I remember that incident very well. But I think this stuff is interesting to me because I think number one, Pete is correct. This is going to amp up. There is no mass movement that it is basically attached to now. The mainstream left is largely deflated and somewhat demoralized after it's already had 9 years of Trump, basically almost 10 years of Trump. And you can't sustain that kind of energy that long. And so the hardcore militant radical element is going to realize that, hey, wait a minute, no one is listening to us anymore. No one is actually engaging with our talking points or willing to discuss things anymore. So we're just going to start doing stuff because, their cause is being impeded and hindered by various actors, and they don't like that, of course. So yeah, they're just going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
On this topic, we actually have a perfect story to segue into our next one here. This is actually a report from Axios about how, speaking of like the Democrats in the mainstream left losing control of the optics game and of all their minions, basically. The Democrats are getting told by their base to become more and more and more radical, even in some cases be told to, quote, get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. So this is a report that Hakeem Jeffries and a bunch of these other Democrat characters are basically trying to figure out which way the left is going to go after Kamabla's terrifying or pathetic defeat at the hands of Donald Trump. So the grassroots of the Democrats want, quote, some of them have suggested that we really need to do is be willing to get shot when visiting ICE facilities or federal agencies, a third House Democrat told Axios. Our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public. The lawmaker said. A fourth House Democrat said constituents have told them civility isn't working and to prepare for violence to fight to protect our democracy. So the Democrats are losing control of their attack dogs. And, well, I can honestly say I'm not surprised this is the case, because just as much as we find it cringe of all these like photo ops of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of these Democrat fools over the years have just been like showing up to ICE facilities and basically just like taking like soppy-eyed photos. I mean, we think it's cringe too. And I guess I can understand where the radical base of the Democrats is coming from as well, where they also think it's cringe. Of course, they're evil, and what the ICE people are doing are 100% patriotic, and they're some of the best among us. But the Democrats are in a tough place right now, for sure.
Yeah, this is no different. They've actually been talking like this a lot. They've been talking. I can't remember what the hell that Chris Murphy, the congressman from Connecticut, he's been saying at town halls most of the year that you're going to have to get ready. And basically, what he's been implying and not coming out straight away and saying that we're going to have to get violent. They're going to have to get violent. We're not going to have to get violent. I mean, in response, possibly, but they're going to have to get violent. And that he had already implied that people may need to stop planes, stop deportation planes, stop ICE, everything. So yeah, this is nothing new. This is just going past one senator. I think he's a senator. I'll call him congressman. One congressman who has been saying this since Trump is elected, and now it's crossed over, and it's making talking points by people who are considered to be the quote unquote future of the party.
Yeah, I mean, I see some people in the chat are bringing up the question of losing control or loosening the leash on their constituents. And I mean, we've talked about this quite a bit recently with some of these bombshell reports, like stuff coming out about the CRS. And as these people lose their funding, into the future, I mean, they've done a good job in the past, and this is why these organizations are so successful and why they need to be destroyed. They have in the past ensured that some of these extreme violent tendencies of these leftists have been pushed down in order for them to push their narratives. That everything is peaceful. I mean, we just happen to be in an age right now where everybody's got a phone on them, and we can see that this fiery but peaceful protest line is just a hock of shit. So when these people start losing their funding and losing control of their radicals, I'm not surprised that they're getting this kind of level of pushback from people.
I mean, that's the thing too, is that where do you think where do you think this guy who's on the run from the FBI now would have worked if he was going to go work a normal job? Well, he'd work for an NGO or he'd work for the government, right? Or he'd work in academia. Like these are the pathways to institutional power for this this segment of politics. And now that you're defunding CRS, this is and all of the other NGO and affiliated other BS programs. I mean, you're basically taking away their jobs essentially. This was as predictable as one could possibly get. Is, well, what happens when you take people's livelihoods from them? Is they tend to get very, very radical very quickly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I'm looking at the age of some of these people, and and they look like either they were in high school or they're basically the offspring of COVID. What we thought could go wrong with COVID was people not only being able to see people and people losing the ability in a world where people have already lost the ability to socialize in real life. And now with so many jobs being taken away and everything, the only thing they have time to do is sit around and get radicalized by, Trump being the next Hitler and, shit like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody knows that there's something deeply wrong with the United States right now, and we have serious systemic problems that need to be addressed in the way our society currently functions, and it's driving people. This isn't really necessarily on the topics list for this week, but we might as well talk about it anyway. This completely ridiculous and cringe idea that Elon Musk has. He's going to somehow appeal to the center and create this America party that everyone is just going to, radically storm to or whatever. Like, no, this is ridiculous. I mean, on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, the base on both sides just despises the people that's currently in charge of their parties, and the parties just do not want to go in the direction of either of the bases. And this idea that Elon has is like, oh, well, we're going to go back and do the exact same thing that the previous two parties were actually doing just 10 years ago, which was like the foundation for why everyone is pissed off with them now anyway. It's just lunacy. I mean, I truly am just amazed how one of the richest and most powerful men in the entire world is just like a high school, like lunatic when it comes to politics. He just doesn't understand anything. It's like what, Elon Musk, you you think democracy is working? What? Like, how do you not know better than this?
Yeah, this is like a guy who got a C in high school civics class and didn't actually, as opposed to the smart kind of person you'd expect Elon to be, who would be in the AP courses or something in high school. But anyway.
Yeah, it's just very bizarre.
I mean, he wants to start the Jeet party.
Well, there's that too.
And so yeah, and apparently the original filing was supposed to be fake or something. I don't know that I believe that. I mean, I don't really believe anything these people say anymore until I see it happen.
It's a good point, but also, like, I could totally believe that a subcontinental went and immediately scammed to be the first one to file for incorporation for that political party. So even if it's not correct that was the official person who was doing the filing for the political party, is certainly directionally correct at the very least. It's kind of like sometimes when you see these stories online and you can't like 100% corroborate them right away, as long as it's like pointing in the same general direction of things, like you're on the right track with it. Sorry, I muted myself. I don't know how the hell I did that.
I was checking. I'm like, what I do.
Yeah, it was weird. Anyway, so the discussion next, we're going to be going to south of the border. So as we're up here talking about all this, ICE raids and deporting illegals and the problems with immigrants in our country, taking jobs and taking housing and clogging up roads and all this stuff. Well, let's actually go and see what happened in Mexico over the weekend. Let's take a look. So here we go. Here we have people protesting. Mexicans in Mexico City are protesting the American influence of expats in Mexico City, either taking jobs or in this case, taking housing from hardworking Mexicans. So it's just, we pointed this out on the show before, the ridiculous requirements it takes to be a citizen of Mexico if you want to be an immigrant into that country, and then put it in comparison with the United States. But here we have over 4th of July weekend, and we also pointed this out recently with the mayor of Mexico City and the president of Mexico going out of their way to encourage to send more people to the United States, and acting like those rioting in LA were citizens of Mexico, and it's therefore the president of Mexico's business to ensure that these people are well taken care of in the United States. Just literally just calling these people foreign actors in another nation. This is what's going on in Mexico City, And
well, in her defense, she's probably not wrong about them being Mexican citizens.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true there, obviously. But
are we sure this isn't just a chimp out?
Yeah.
I mean, this could be just a chimp out for chimp out's sake, and then you find like the pogroms in Russia. Oh, we want to break. We want to rob some stuff. Oh, they're destroying our businesses because we're Jewish. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I'm buying it, but I mean, it is. If anything, what you could say is it's spreading. It's spreading, and I don't think it's. You probably, if you're going to look at it, maybe not be so surprised considering.
Hold on. Sorry to interrupt. Did you guys see what's on that guy's jacket? Did you guys see?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's that's a very popular symbol down in Mexico. But yeah, let's not let's not ignore the fact that the person who's running Mexico now is basically the same power that's running here. So why wouldn't they become some of their cities become like ours?
Yeah, definitely a fair point on that one. So I just thought it was interesting to point this out right here that Americans are being targeted in Mexico City, and much of the same arguments that are being used against immigrants in our own country are being used in theirs as well. And of course, it's okay when these people do it, but it's of course horrible and the worst thing in the world for Americans to express sovereignty for their own nation and their own people. So.
I mean, the first business in this video that they're showing them attack is a bank. So to say they're protesting tourists and Americans, I'm not getting that just from this video. I'd need to know more.
It's fair too, indeed. So I thought that was just a little something that we can show everybody here. But back to our side of the border, and again, bringing up the question of strategic chimping, we're going to have to talk about the Epstein files and the Epstein story, because this one was just something that was going around throughout the entire last week and change here. So I guess like a very brief timeline here on this one is that throughout the entire campaign trail, you had Donald Trump talking about the Epstein files. They're going to be declassified, and it's going to be on my desk, and I'm going to release it. We've had Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and all these characters throughout the entire Trump administration talking about, oh, it's soon. It's going to be around the corner. We've got the notes on our desk. The client list is on my desk and ready for me to sign. They did that photo op maybe 3 months ago when all like the NormieCon safe people like influencers like Liz Wheeler and Mike Cernovich and everyone were invited to the White House, and they got that ridiculous files where pretty much every sentence was like X'd off black and stuff, and there was just no new information in there whatsoever. Well, now we're being told from the Trump administration that oh, well, wouldn't you know it? Not only did Jeffrey Epstein, known killer of himself, everything there's no questions here at all. There's no client list. We're going to release this video footage of outside of his room, but we're going to edit out 1 minute of this video that's like 12 hours long. And then we're just going to try and sweep this under the rug. When we take questions about it, Trump says, why are you still asking about this? Yada, yada, yada. I mean, I'll just say from the onset, I'm sick of talking about the story. I think it's a total slop story. I think it's junk. This is just ridiculous on all manner that people thought that something was actually going to come of this one. But quite frankly, I'm very, very pissed at the Trump team who basically just blue balls literally everybody about this. It's like, if you're going to lie, then just lie from the very start. This is just ridiculous. The only good thing that's come out of this is that a lot of people in the NormieCon sphere are calling for Pam Bondi to be fired, which quite frankly, she never should have been in that position in the first place. It should have been Matt Gaetz from the very beginning, and he would have been an infinitely better pick from the very start. But I mean, this is just like a lie
for a reason.
Yeah, well, of course. But this is just like such blatant lying from the Trump administration. This just cannot be allowed to stand, regardless of what people actually feel about the story itself, myself included.
Well, I think we had that picture up of Epstein and, physiognomy never lies. And now I'm looking at this picture of Kash Patel, and I'm wondering, I think someone needs to DNA test him.
I was thinking about the picture too.
We have been an occupied government for 80 years now, almost 80 years now. All this was protecting our greatest ally. We know it. Everyone knows it. The only thing we can do is just keep exposing the fact that we're occupied. That's it. That's it. When something like this happened, back in 2019, when Epstein killed himself, when Epstein quote unquote killed himself. Daryl Cooper was the person who came out and said, "Yeah, this country is done." Because as soon as he ended up dead in prison, basically every American should have been like, "Okay, we need to overthrow this government. We can't deal with this anymore." But no,
I mean, speaking of Daryl,
6 years, yes, 6 years later, yada, and now, oh no, he was just, he had tons of child porn. That's what he was doing. Nothing, there was cameras, there were pinhole cameras in every room in the biggest townhouse in Manhattan that was given to him by Les Wexner, by a billionaire, another billionaire tribesman. We are occupied, and stuff like this is not going to stop until we are no longer occupied. That's it.
Yeah, agree with everything you said there, Pete. I mean, this is just unacceptable. Again, I don't think anybody here on this panel had some grandiose ideas that somehow we were going to get a printout of every single one of Epstein's clients and we were going to ever know the truth about this whole story. I mean, come on. We're not naive in this regard, right? That's not what we're asking for here on this panel here and stuff. But this is just completely unacceptable conduct from Trump's team on this one. And to be honest,
dude, think about this. Dan Bongino made a whole career on Rumble of we're gonna get in there, get Trump elected, we're gonna bring these people down, get me in that administration, I'll help bring these people down. Dan Bongino should, how can he ever show his face? I mean, people should throw rotten food at him when he goes into public from now on. I'm being nice.
Oh yeah,
he should not be allowed to go in public anymore.
The clips that I've seen of his appearance on Fox News and Pam Bondi's as well on this one, just really, really shameful stuff on that one. I mean, I really had just during this time of year, obviously you spend a lot of time with family and stuff because you 4th of Julying it up and everything, and everyone's together with your boomer family members and stuff. And I just really have an axe to grind with Fox News right now because I just have so many boomer conservative family members who are just still glued to Fox News. And there's just the worst kinds of people on there these days. I'm watching a couple of Mark Levin shows because it's just on in the background. God, do I hate that man. And the whole cadre of people who are at Fox, man, they're just awful. And they were just pulling cover for all of these guys. It's just of course, I actually said this when I meant that I had Epstein's client list on my desk. I was just speaking, in memes and metaphorical terms and what have you. It's just what I really meant was this. It's shut up. We all know you're lying.
I mean, the one thing that's noticeable about this entire incident is that it's the first time I think I have seen a narrative misstep by the Trump admin, which isn't a good sign. Definitely.
Yeah, it was bad. Trump's response too, as well, to the press when they were asking about the story as well, was really, really bad as well. It's what do you mean you're still talking about this stuff? I mean, I get it. That's a signal from the king to be hey, shut up about the story and what have you. But I mean, Trump, get better lackeys apparently then, because this Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, these people are just pathetic. I've seen nothing remotely interesting coming out from they're the three fucking stooges. These people, Bondi, Patel, and Bongino.
Dude, I mean, there are people. I saw this whole thread today about how you still have to be trusting the plan about the whole Epstein thing.
I'm so
this
sick
is
of
all
these.
just
I'm
a
so sick of
gigantic ruse. I mean, when do we get to the point where it's okay, Trump gives us 4 years to plan amongst ourselves for how we go forward? Because I mean, I hope stuff happens. I
Yeah.
thought that some things could happen. I hope that some things could happen. You know, hope is a very human emotion that you know, a lot of people won't allow you to have anymore because they consider it to be weakness. I don't think that it's not weakness. It's humanity, especially when you're in a you know, in a system that's just, you know, people say, oh, this is, you know, it's a binary system. No, this is just like one system. But you know, you would hope that something could go your way. Well, I mean,
I'm just
waiting
so
around.
sick of I'm so sick of people using this like really retarded term, this panicking term. I hate it. I don't care that Donald Trump came up with it. I think it's a dumb term, and he really shouldn't have come up with it either. I'm just sick of all of these people who are insisting on all of us that like, oh well, you gotta trust the plan, bro, and everything like this. It's like, dude, listen. I am an enthusiastic supporter of Donald Trump. I voted for the man 3 times. I vote for him a 5th, 4th, any number of times more if it came across my desk and it was in my power to do so, man. But come on, man. We know that this like strategic chimping, it works. People respond to pressure in the administration. We know that there are people who are listening to our guys. I don't understand what you are getting from this. Oh, we have to 100% toe the line kind of deal and trust literally everything that's coming out of the White House. And then like 5 days later, we got to backwards rationalize how we were the ones that because we were trusting the whole time, things came out exactly the way we wanted or whatever. It's like, you guys don't know fucking shit the entire time. And it's been like obvious to anyone who's like been paying attention as well that you're just engagement farming, you know, flopping back and forth between what positions you do and don't hold. And then like you come out as like the big triumphant warrior at the end saying, I never doubted Trump. I never, you know, broke ranks or anything. It's like, motherfucker, none of us have either, but we just are actually pushing the envelope in a direction where we want it to go. What I suppose that everybody in our scene wanted things to go. Well, there's plenty of things that Donald Trump has said that none of us here agree with. There's plenty of more things that people in this cabinet have said even more that we disagree with even more. And I'm not going to remain silent about that. And it's ridiculous to expect anyone to do so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're one of those people like what's his name? Ben Shapiro put out a video like highlighting all the people who said that Trump was going to start World War III by dropping bombs on Iran. And because these people got it wrong, you shouldn't try. Motherfucker, you got COVID wrong.
Yep.
You literally get every foreign policy thing wrong. And you got COVID, the biggest fucking IQ test of our time. You showed up, you know, like with the friggin' like lower than a non on that one. Fuck you people. Of course you're going to be like, don't fucking do this. Don't drop bombs on Iran. They're not Arabs. They're fucking Persians. Okay. Why don't Israelis, why don't they like them? Because they're smarter than them. Because they're better than them. They're better human beings. They're bigger than them. Fuck. Yeah, I mean, stop. Fucking cheerlead him dropping bombs on people who should be our natural allies. The only reason they don't chant death to America. They chant death to Zog. If you hear anything other than death to Zog, you're a retard.
Indeed. So, conclusion of this one, bad week for the Trump team at the very least, particularly on this topic. So, I mean, if this is like the line that people are gonna, you know, tote on this one, you better be giving me those mass deportations, man. That's all I gotta say. Because if you really go through with the amnesty thing, that is just the nail in the coffin for Trump's legacy right there. I mean, everything else that you're talking about is just literally worthless at that point. It could reform any institution, cut any funding, pass any tax cuts, you know, prevent any national land from being sold to foreign bidders. You know, you can stop any new wars or whatever. But if you don't actually address the main issue, which is facing this country, which is the source of almost all of our problems, is immigration. And if you cuck on that issue, it's over for you. And it's certainly over for JD Vance as well, if he wants to be the next president.
this is Trump's signature issue. He should not cuck on this issue by any means. It is the issue which literally got him elected. It is where he got his most famous quotes from at the start of the 2015 primary season when he came down the escalator. This is it. This is what he should be famous for. This is his legacy. Mass deportations, restricting immigration. That is why he is in his office and why people have remained loyal to him through his many, many trials and tribulations over the last 8 years. He needs to do this.
Sorry, was typing in the chat again. All right, let's move on to our final story of the evening, something of a little bit more on a tragic note, but also we can I'll sing praise of a Chad of an American right here. We'll talk about this one in a moment. So over the 4th of July weekend, in the last couple of days, there has been a ridiculous amount of rain that has fallen in the American Southwest, in New Mexico and in Texas particularly. And this has resulted in some extremely dangerous flash flooding that has occurred. One of them, which we'll be talking about right here in Texas, revolves around a all-Christian girls' school summer camp activity, which was surrounded on all sides by the increasing floodwaters. So people were unable to escape until one man, who was a former accountant and a 26-year-old gentleman by the name of Scott Ruskin, was the rescue diver on the scene who evacuated over 200 people from this Christian girls summer camp and saved all of their lives. Here we go. Just take a look at this Chad. We talk about all the time about the slew of instances we've had with air traffic controllers and planes falling out of the sky. Here we have a guy, 26 years old, just an absolute Chad who should totally be in charge of operations and organizations like these. This is the kind of stuff that we talk about when we say that DEI kills. It literally does. This guy and people like him should be in charge of all of these things, period.
Yeah, I heard that like the Austin fire chief was complaining about, was making excuses about how they weren't able to do this, they weren't able to do that, they couldn't do this and everything. And then someone found a video of him for like 4 years ago bragging about how, diverse the organization was. I mean, it's just, you cannot hire, you can't hire people who can't answer the fucking breakfast question and expect them to be able to be competent in anything. Just fucking stop it, and stop hiring women for these jobs too. Just as a brief aside, that video that came out from the airport in Britain, where like, and you see this female cop and her nose is all bloody, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And people are like, "Don't make this into a DEI thing." She should be at home. She should be at home taking care of her husband. What is she doing there? You think you're talking? You think she's going to be able to go up against a 70 IQ friggin' monkey from Africa? What are you retarded? Stop it already. We want the best people. We want the best people that we could possibly can to be working at these important jobs, especially when it comes to saving lives. Stop it already.
100%. I mean, one of the other things that really stuck out to me on that video that you were just describing, Pete, is how everybody on the scene just immediately has to go to the aid of this woman, especially because she starts crying. I mean, listen, like getting punched in the face is never fun. Getting a broken nose, isn't fun either. I'm not like begrudging her for that, right? But what I am saying is that the tone of the scene immediately changes, because now we can't go and deal with the perp. We have to deal with the crying woman now, because there's a part of men's lizard brain and our monkey brains in the back that as soon as we see a woman crying, it's something we have to drop everything and adjust the situation for. So it's just, no, there's just no reason a woman needs to be in this situation, literally ever. They can't do the job as well as a man could. And the second they show up on the scene, it destroys the entire, for lack of a better word, feng shui of the entire space. Then now we just have to drop everything and deal with this one problem now, instead of dealing with the actual threat. So It's just
if your
ridiculous.
reaction to getting your nose broken or busted isn't to get more angry and more violent, you should not be in a job where it's a possibility that you'll get your nose busted. End of fucking story.
You're here. Well, our hearts definitely go out to all of those fellow Americans of ours who were affected by these disastrous flash floods throughout the Southwest over the long weekend, especially around 4th of July. It's just, I feel so bad for a family like this who sends like a young girl off to a Christian camp and then they just get swept away in floodwaters. And many of these people still even haven't been found. I have received word that Dave the Distributist is collecting money tonight on his stream. He's going to send it to a charity down in Texas to deal with this flooding. So please head on over to Dave's channel after this and give him some love. So our fellow countrymen could definitely use it in a time like this.
Can you, Mandrill, do you have any information about what this area is like, demographic wise or anything like that?
I don't know, Pete, off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Yes. So very, very sad indeed. But we talk about this all the time, and Pete is constantly banging this drum, and it needs banging once again. Is do you know what is going on in your local area? Do you have people who can help you in a time like this when disaster strikes? You know, there was questions about if the Texas National Guard and all of the weather services and all the charities and everything acted fast enough to save a bunch of these people. I mean, of course, it was 4th of July weekend. A lot of people are out doing other stuff. You imagine that most of the government services are going to be understaffed on a weekend like this. Like, do you have friends in your local area who can help you out in times like this? Well, it's only going to get worse from here, man. All right. So if there's nothing further, gents, we will go to the Entropy chats and actually do see that there are a number of them in there. So thank you, gentlemen, in the chat for heading over to Entropy. Again, our ongoing fights with YouTube over copyright strikes for music, which is just unacceptable, unbelievable. But anyway, we must persevere. So in addition to supporting us over here on Entropy, if you guys would also like to throw us some cash, please head over to our Substack and subscribe over there. We do have podcasts and streams, as well as articles behind the paywall that are going out every Friday, in addition to our 2 free ones that we put out every week. We do some fun stuff over there. Actually, we did a review of Team America World Police that actually came out on 4th of July. Last Friday. So if people want to subscribe over on the Substack, throw us a little bit of money that way, we would greatly appreciate it. And maybe we'll get some laughs out of it as well. There's a good backlog of podcasts on that one. So you can go through it and listen to quite a few really, really good ones on there. I recommend people listen to our Flag Day review when Charlemagne, Semigog, myself, and Mr. D reviewed all the 50 state flags. That one was really, really fun. We've done like Africa, Adio. I know we did Brazil, the film review once, Death of Stalin, A Few Good Men we did on there once. Yeah, there's a good back catalog of film reviews on that one. Africa, Adio, we did that one as well. So definitely head over and check that stuff out. Anyway, to the super chats. Solid Snake 1964, as ever, is the first super chatter on the scene. Thank you very much, my friend. He for $5, he says, "Evening, gents. Hope you all had a great 4th, whatever or whenever. I have beers, burgers, and brats. It's always a good day, especially with family. I have to say the American Spirits first episode was phenomenal. Looking forward to next week's one. Salute the OGC." Yes, of course. If people haven't listened to the first episode of American Spirits, which was hosted by Charlemagne and our friend Ryan Turnipseed, they also had our guest, Mr. Alberon Quinn, on that show as well for Monday, where they were discussing Albion Seed. So definitely head on over to that one. It's going to be a bit more of a intellectual and deeper show than maybe what we have a little bit here, but we're trying to offer a broad range of shows programming going forward. So head on over and watch American Spirits on Monday. Some really, really good stuff over there. Jackson Walker sends us $10. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, sir. Our good friend Cringe Walker, Lou Templar, for $3 says,
I'm so happy you used his actual screen name and not his adopted screen name.
Well, you got to give it both. No, he's always
Never-
Cringe Walker to me. Yes.
Yeah. Never let him live it down.
Yes. For $3, it sounds like they want to force deportation on blue states in preparation for the census, but this will backfire. Needs to be national, not state by state. That's obviously true. No, I mean, they all have to go. They all have to go back. All right.
I mean, Cringe Walker does have a point here. I did make a note several months ago on Twitter. It was like a couple tweet long thread. Basically, the way that the math works out for this, right? Democrats love to complain about the representation in Congress, and especially in the House, which is based entirely off of proportion of population, as people who actually did do well in civics class should know. The entire thing about that, though, is, and why they complain, is they will always cite, oh, well, North Dakota and South Dakota have representation of one representative or one electoral college vote for every 500,000 people, or whatever the number is up there. And then they'll complain about how in California or something, it's always 637, 650,000 people. So that's one representative for every 600, or a substantially larger number of people per representative, basically. And that's what they're complaining about. The way that the math breaks down is if you subtract, or I shouldn't say subtract, sorry. If you divide the amount of illegals, right, and you can take whichever number that is, let's assume that it's a very, it's the highest possible number, the Harvard figure, the maximum of their model from like 2017. That's about 24 to 30 million people, and that's before the Biden boost. If you divide that number by 650,000 or so, you get a number that is roughly equal to the amount of seats majority that the Democrats had in the 2018 midterms. So to say that this has no political consequences is absolutely not true. It absolutely does have real political consequences. And it is a prerogative of the GOP now to have to do mass deportations. You have to do this because when the next census comes up in 5 years and you redistrict all of these houses, how are you going to get rid of the squad, right? The way that you get rid of the squad is by getting rid of all of the illegal aliens. You redistrict, and basically you get rid of AOC's House seat because it doesn't exist except on paper and never has. So formally, there's like 650,000 people that she's representing in New York, or somewhere around that number. But really, there's only a third of those people who are probably citizens in her district. So it's one of those things where like this district is one that shouldn't even exist. So yes, Cringe Walker is technically correct there.
All right. Yes, Cringe Walker always provides great value on these topics for sure. So, Skibum 220 for $50. Thank you very much, sir. That is definitely the super chat of the night thus far. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you again, everyone, for sending us money over on Entropy. We get a bigger cut, and we just greatly appreciate it all around. So thank you, gents. Is the administration going after the NGOs that helped bring in these foreign illegals? The people in those organizations need to face big consequences for what they did to our people. Salute the OGC. Yes, of course. I greatly, we mentioned this many a time that there's just many layers to this whole network of people that have betrayed us by letting in all these foreigners in here. No doubt they're definitely on people's radar, whether they're taking any action against them. It's tough to tell, right?
Well, the YouTube channel S2 Underground, he basically has a map of like all of the quote unquote safe houses. Can someone who's making noise?
Sorry, that's me.
Okay. He has a map of all the safe houses and where they are, and he gives their addresses. And so you can look them up. But these are places where they'll hide them. They'll hide them until they can get them into court. And yeah, he's had it taken down a bunch of times to the point where he has to put it on GitHub because they're coming after him. And then when you go to the website for these people, you kind of find out that like all of those charities, the Catholic charities, Lutheran charities, all of them have basically now all combined into one. And yeah, they're still going. You know, people were like, oh, well, USAID gets defunded and everything. There are still a lot of billionaires out there who want to see the world burn. They're going to keep going until I'm not going to say the administration is going to stop them. It's going to be us. I mean, we're going to have to stop them one way, one way or another. And I'm not saying how that is done, how you do that, but it's going to be on us.
Right. I always tell people with the USAID stuff that if getting rid of government funding is good because government funding is having you being forcibly made to pay for your enemy's political prerogatives. And that's why they always want you to have to pay these burdens, essentially. And if they go to the private sector for funding, that is a well of funds that is somewhat more finite because you can't just print infinity money anymore. So, and people do have budgets, and eventually that stuff does run out. So it's a step forward, definitely.
All right, let's carry on here. Skibum220 also sends us $5 saying he subscribed for $5, no doubt referring to our Substack. So thank you very much, sir. We greatly appreciate it. Paladin YYZ, our good friend and prolific super chatter, sends us $150 tonight. Thank you very much, my friend. We greatly appreciate it. He says, great show, guys. Fantastic interview with Daryl, buddy. Yes, as I was mentioning, I just listened to that just before we went live here, and everyone should head over to Pete's show and check out his recent episode with Daryl Cooper. It was an excellent show. Everyone should listen to it. So moving on to Anglo-Catholic for $3. First time catching it live. I don't know what the whole Epstein files conversation is about. Who's Epstein? What's a file? What is truth? Yeah, pretty much, right? Exactly. And Paladin YYZ again sends us another $25. Any thoughts on Berta O and Burden's awesome breakdown on Chat GPT morphing into Mel Gibson after 4 beers? I actually haven't listened. It's on my backlog, but I do love Burden and Bird. Both those guys are great, and they do have pretty good chemistry together whenever they're on a show together. So I do need to listen to that, but no doubt they had some humor to go around between the two of them. So definitely go check that out as well. See, there's just we're just spoiled for content in our thing. Our guys, too many of our guys are just putting out awesome stuff. It's hard to keep track all the time,
Yeah, I had a tweet talking about that where I said that if pattern recognition without emotion always ends up in the same place. And that's pretty much what happens to AI when you let the reins off. Pattern recognition always ends up going in the same exact direction. And if humans can figure out, if we can figure out how to release our emotions and just notice the patterns, we get to a place where a lot of people just don't want us to be.
Yeah, good point indeed. It's eventually we're going to get to a point where it's like 109 AIs, but amazing. I'm just glad that everyone got their screenshots out of the way the last 2 days, because that was it was a fun day. It was a fun day to be on Twitter. I'll tell you that much. There aren't too many of them these days, but that one was a fun one. So all right, and then our final super chat of the evening, Maple Copperhead for $5 says, salute, gentlemen. Well, salute to you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, let's go around the horn here. We'll do some shillings and we'll call it quits for the evening. So Pete, aside from that excellent show with Daryl that everyone's been talking about, what else do you have cooking?
Oh, I mean, that's about it. I've been reading. I started reading for my subscriber only material. Maurice Samuel's "You Gentiles." I got through chapter 3 on the chapter 2 on the second episode. So, if you want to take that journey with me, subscribe somewhere, and you'll do it.
All right, very good. And Mr. Raging Mandrill, sir, do you have anything to promote at this time?
Yeah, I think at this point, I'm ready to once again resume the Babylon B review. Excuse me, Babylon B, Babylon Berlin review.
I know. I every time you guys talk about doing that, I also, am I screw you, Joel Berry, but.
Yes. So as soon as some of the other members are ready, I will be more than happy to do that. And yes, I think on my own channel, this summer and the incipient violence that is building is inspiring me to once again go do Days of Rage streams. It's been too long since I've had a chance to do that. My time has been very limited at the moment, unfortunately, and I do want to get back into that as soon as possible because it's very timely.
Yes, of course, undoubtedly, especially given the topics we discussed today. For myself, things to promote, I actually have quite a bit. So, on Saturday morning, I will be on Red Morning with my good friend Ryan Stone. So we're going to catch up. It's been a couple months since we've done a podcast, so that'll be great. Always a good guy, puts out some excellent content, and a good friend. So check me out over there on Saturday. Also, Sunday evening. This is up in the air right now because I know we're still working on schedules, but there is going to be a stream on Last Things' channel with myself, Last Things, and Mr. John Slaughter. And we're going to talk about masculinity, the legacy of the manosphere, stuff like that. Allegedly, that is going to take place on Sunday night. It might get pushed back a little bit later into next week, but keep your eyes open for that. So check me out over there, of course. And then, as usual, my weekend appearances, I will probably be on Rule Zero and Post Zero on Saturday and Sunday. So check me out over there. All right. And of course, the OGC will be back here next week for our 3 show stint throughout the entire week. So everyone set your calendars, set your clocks, set your alarms for Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we'll see you guys next week. Everyone have a good weekend.